What's happening, good people? Guess what? It's your girl, Miss Kecia, with a little chat and chew for you. Yo, I have missed y'all. I know y'all miss me. So, so much has happened. Oh my God. If you have not noticed, I have a new home. Give it up for my new home. Woo! Let me tell you, I'm like the Jeffersons. I'm moving on up to the east side. I'm on the east side, baby. Big shout out to 5 North. No, excuse me, 5 North Main, and my podcast studio manager, Evan, who is making this damn thing happen. You hear me? Listen, this was such a blessing to just get in contact with Evan, and we just clicked and everything just worked out, and it's just running so smooth. We had a little technical difficulties. That's why we a little bit late, but it's all good. You know, something new. We're going to get it rolling, and we're going to do the dang thing. You heard? So shout out to New Beginnings here at 5 North. I'm excited. I'm excited for the shows that we're going to have here. Like, bro, I wish I could show you the whole atmosphere. Like, it's a vibe. You hear me? It is a whole vibe. I can't wait for girls' night, guys' night, round table talk. I cannot wait. It's going to be amazing. You can best believe that we're going to have a good time. So we can even now bust it. You can call in, bro. We're going to have it for the next couple of episodes. We won't have it on this one, all right? Let us get our groove, okay? But we do have the opportunity for the viewers, the viewers, to call in. So we're excited about that. And we're just excited for this next adventure. You know, I'm all about a new adventure. You guys should know that by now. So, man, bro. Let me just this is how I want to start tonight, okay? I'm gonna define friendship. You know, I want to talk about friendship. I have friends that I have had since high school. Yeah, we celebrated our 30th reunion, class of 92, Wilson High School, turn up, and we had an amazing time. But I want to talk about friendship. Like, so I'm going to tell you what the dictionary says. Webster says, this is what Webster says friendship means. Friendship is defined as the state of being friends, the relationship between friends. The secondary definition is a friendly feeling or attitude, kindness, or help given to someone. So that led me to ponder, what is the real meaning of friendship to you? I now know what it means to me. What is true friendship? How do you define true friendship? How do you define giving somebody that title your friend, and how do you let them into a place where you creating a friendship relationship with them? You know, how do you define that? Who gets in, and who gets in the friendship club, and who doesn't? Do you think friendship should last a lifetime? Like, these are questions that I have been pondering about friendship. Friendship is a relationship of mutual trust, respect, and admiration. Do you think that is what friendship is? Should it be some kind of way of those things? How about this? Who do you qualify to have that title of friend? And how about this? How do you respond when the friendship is fractured? It's deep, ain't it? So, just my take on friendship. Yeah, you know, I believe that a small circle is the definition of happiness, you know? And that's just at a point that I'm at in my age, okay? In my life, I don't need no new friends. I'm just with it. I don't need no new friends. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm happy with my circle. So like, and how do I define my friends? Like um they have to be trustworthy. They have to be um compassionate. They have to be empathetic. They have to be honest. You know, like I'm not looking for perfection because none of us is perfect, you know, and I'm not at this age and time, like, you know, me and my best friends, we don't talk every day, and that's cool, you know, because I could remember a time when I was in my younger years that I felt like I had to have friends. Like, I am so glad that God didn't give me all those friends that I wanted, you know, but and then let's ponder on this. How do you respond to a friendship that's fractured? Me personally, um, I don't respond. I meet people where they are. So if I let you into my circle, into my space, and you betray my trust or whatever happens that it changes the relationship to where I no longer want you in my close circle, then I have to just meet you where you are, who you've shown me you are. That's it. No love loss, no hard feelings. Um, I just meet you where you are. Now, having said that, I will add this disclaimer that my therapist did tell me this week that I am emotionally detached in a lot of ways. That I think of things that I'm more of a logical thinker. And so I think of things in black and white. That's just how it is. And I would say I agree to a certain degree. And I actually, like, me and her went back and forth because at first I was like, you don't know me. You don't know me like that to be telling me that I ain't nice because I'm hella nice. But the thing is, it depends on the relationship. And that's what, you know, she had to break it down to me, give me an understanding about some things, about, you know, just seeing it through the viewer's perspective, not just my own. So it was a whole lot behind that. But nonetheless, back to friendship, I can see where that personality trait is a positive, because why do I need to put more energy into this when you have clearly shown me who you are? And maybe I have shown you who I am, and we don't jive no more. So what you going to fight about? What you going to argue about? What you going to debate about? It is what it is, right? Let it go. Just let it go. And that's where I am in life. Like, no hard feelings. I wish you no ill will. You know what I'm saying? Like, me and my best friend, like I was upset with her. I mean, draws dirty upset with her, because it's like, I ain't heard from you. What's the problem? And so when, you know, homecoming time came and I went home and I saw her, I just had to tell her, like, how I'm mad at you. How you don't do that. You don't do that. I don't like that. You know, and she explained it to me or whatever, but you know, my feelings was hurt. That's the bottom line. And so I had to be honest with her. I just couldn't just sit there like, oh, we cool. Bro, we not cool. You need to explain to me why you wasn't talking to me, because I'm feeling some kind of way. Like, nah, bro, you ain't got many friends. Bro, I've been here from the, you know, the beginning. Like, you don't just kick me to the curb. But at times I was like, you know, it's whatever. But then when I saw her, it's like, nah, this is my dog. I love her. Like, nah, I love her. Like, why you wasn't talking to me? You know? So, you know, we talked about it and she understood and she was very apologetic. She reassured me that she loved me or whatever. And so it was cool. I still give her a hard time because I'm me. Like, y'all know me. So, but really, I guess what I'm saying is, like, there comes a time, Shane, can you stop? You making noise. Oh, Lord Jesus. He in here tearing up stuff, y'all. I have a guest, but I guess he wants to introduce himself before time. But so, yeah, so So that all brings me to this. You need to know who you are bringing into your circle before you bring them in there. I mean, I know that there's always going to be something that you miss. You didn't realize or whatever the case, but you need to get real damn close to understanding who you are surrounding yourselves with. That brings me to this topic of, this young lady from Charlotte that went to Cabo with a group of her friends, and one of them had the title of best friend, and they allegedly beat this girl to death. And then they allegedly lied and said that she died of alcohol poisoning. And the autopsy clearly says that she didn't die. But the sad part was, they videotaped beating this girl up. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, I don't understand why people, the first thing they think is to pull out your damn cell phone. Maybe because the Brooklyn in me, I'm not finna hold up and pull out my damn cell phone when some shit that's happening that's wrong is going on. I'm like, I'm not pulling in my cell phone. Like, I don't want to record it. I want to get the hell out of here. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, they recorded it. They, and they're not kids. These are 25-year-old young adults. So they know better. Yeah, their brains isn't really matured. I got all that. But they still know better. And to come back and then, you go see her parents and then you're sending this video out, like, that's just a level of like stupidity that I can't even explain, So I just think it's important now, just seeing these type of things happen. Like, you just gotta know who's in your circle. You gotta know who you dealing with, bro. You gotta know. Like, it's no such thing as casual relationships anymore. Like, you just have to be safe. Like, this is a different time. Hell, this is a different time when I was a teenager. It's a damn different time. Like, for real, for real. So, just evaluate your circle. You don't need a whole bunch of friends to feel that you're appreciated or you're friendly. You can be friendly to a lot of people, but you don't have to give them those titles. Only certain people deserve those titles. And when people show you who they are, trust and believe. That's who they are, baby. They're not going to change for you. Only way a person changes for the better is when they decide to do it for themselves. You shouldn't want anyone to change for you anyway. You shouldn't, because that's taken away from that person. So you're not getting that full person because they're so busy trying to please you. Why you want that person? You see what I'm saying? So let's just think about these things and, let's have these conversations with our young adults and our teenagers, especially about these damn cell phones, going out with people, Ubering. Like, you just got to be careful. Like, bro, you just got to be careful. Everybody ain't nice. Everybody don't have your best interests out in mind. Everybody, it's just the way of the world. It's just the way it is. So, yeah. So on that note, we're gonna swing right into things. So, yeah. So let's talk about today's topic. So I tried to do something a little. I didn't want to be biased or whatever. So, yeah, I didn't want to be biased. So the topic tonight is single parenthood, blood in, blood out. What set you up, mama, dad? Right. So, while I was pondering who I was going to have on this show, how it was going to roll, I was like, I had invited a couple of girls that I know. One girl, she was like, I'm shy. People gonna be looking at me. I'm like, girl, you can't see them people looking at you. What you feeling shy for? But nonetheless, she was feeling shy. So I told her, understood. Okay. But it ended up how it's supposed to be. So I have two of my friends, one I came up in the military. I met while I was in the military, one I met outside of the military. But nonetheless, these gentlemen have been single parents kids. They have and I just feel like sometimes I feel like the dudes they get the short end of the stick. Because yeah, I got it. It's a lot of dudes out here, and it don't even matter what the race is. It's a lot of dudes out here that's not doing the right thing. That's not, putting in that time with their children, doing what they supposed to be doing as a dad. I get it. But what about those dudes that's are? What about them? What about those single men who have their kids full time and they're balancing it, And I got to thinking, like, my social group for Thanksgiving, we always look to help a single mother. It's always a single mother. But I'm like, man, I wonder if the guys go through the same struggles that we go through. Can you imagine being a single parent raising a teenage daughter? God bless your soul. Because I know, like, ooh, I love my baby, but she was different. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm a woman, so I could relate a lot to a lot of the stuff that she was going through. Now, I can say that when my son was coming up, it was a whole nother different, situation. But so just imagine if she was on the other foot. And I got to thinking, I'm like, this is going to be a dope show. So I have two amazing men on my show tonight. By my side, I have the handsome, the lovable Mr. James Shane Williams. Okay.
Up,
all right. You say hello to the people, Shane. Don't be shy.
What's up, family? How y'all doing out there?
Oh, you didn't put your DJ voice on, did you, Shane?
I tried to.
You put your DJ voice on. And then we have streaming in, we have Mr. Tino Singh. So, first, let me do my disclaimer. Say hello to the people, Tino.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
All right. Listen, Tino is a little reserved. He's like a neat glass of scotch. Okay. Understand that. All right. So here's my disclaimer. All right. The opinions and experiences that are shared on this show is that of myself and my guests. We are sharing for informational purposes in hopes of assisting someone, but not to change anyone's views to be that of ours. You hear me? Okay. We understand and acknowledge the choice to agree to disagree respectfully. So just enjoy our conversation and how it's going. So this whole single parenthood, there's a lot of people who wouldn't make it as a single parent. Don't you think, Shane? Don't you know people that probably wouldn't make it as a single parent?
Definitely that. Definitely that. There's some people out there, whether it be male or female, that are struggling out there. And I know everybody wasn't meant to be a single parent.
I mean, even before they have kids, I think it's it's not for the weak at heart. So Shane, tell us how many kids you have.
Well, I've been blessed. I've been out here. I have two biological kids of my own. I've been blessed to help raise 4 others. And so it's been a good journey.
Yes. So while Shane is being very modest, Shane actually took care of, his daughters that were not biologically his. They chose to live with him. And he took care of them. So he was the sole parent. And I think that is very commendable because I just got to be honest, Shane. No.
It wasn't always easy, but, I've been blessed. I had a lot of support. My mom was there to help me out. So when those lady times came where discussions that was outside of my realm,
right?
My mom was able to step in and, put a lend to a hand to that.
Right,
and actually educate me as well. So
right. Yeah. But that's good. Yeah. A major support system is key when being a single parent.
Yes.
So Tino, tell us about your little crumb snatchers. How many kids do you have?
So 3 boys biologically and 1 that I helped raise. All are pretty much grown right now, except for my youngest, who's, he's figuring his way out.
Right. So, see, Tino was blessed. He had all boys. Boys are way less work than girls. Tino was blessed. Yeah.
The dream was a daughter, but it didn't happen. So at
I
a
mean,
certain
I
point, you know,
know
you kind of
all
got to give
men
up.
want, yes, all men want to have a daughter. But bro, let me tell you, you dodged a bullet in raising a daughter. Bro, you did. So let's get into this. Cause like I know with I know I would say me. I'm just gonna talk about my experience as a single parent. Like when my kids were coming up, I had to make choices to benefit them, and sometimes, friends didn't understand and you just had to break it down to them like, I got these kids, they mine, and I got to take care of them, so there were a lot of times when, I couldn't do what I wanted to do or time. I mean, I can remember struggling with Dominique and Dante when me and my ex-husband divorced, and I had to make a choice between gas or food. You know what I mean? And of course, Dominique and Dante don't remember this. They just remember living a good life, But
Eating and sleeping.
you know what I'm saying? Like, but there really was hard times, and it's like, you know, Shane, how did you deal with those trying times that came about? And it was no one there. You had to make the sacrifice or the decisions for the sacrifice, in a betterment or for your children.
Well, there's a lot of times that when you're dealing with that, you find yourself with a lot of sleep at night.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you up thinking, you're praying, days when your children are sick and there's nobody else there but you.
Yeah, man.
And you're trying to get them back and forth to school on a sick day. And as well as, you trying to get to work after being up all night.
Right,
And
right,
so,
right.
sometimes it just took a lot of prayer to keep moving forward without giving up, because you also know you had those to count on you.
Right, right,
And so
right.
when you can't count on somebody else, all you can do is put God in front of you and just keep moving forward.
Right. Yeah. Me and my daughter had a conversation last night. She's just like, I never want to have an experience to where my daughter misses out on something because I relied on somebody else to do something. And so she missed out because somebody else didn't hold their word. And that's a big deal, because at the end of the day, kids don't care about, well, auntie and Mr. So-and-so and Miss So-and-so said they was going to, they like mommy, daddy, like whoever's the adult there, mommy, daddy. Well, what happened? What happened? So I get it. I get it. Tino, can you, what are some experiences you had? Well, let's do this. Let's actually back up. So you were married, right?
Yeah, so I was, and I think, honestly, I think majority of our struggles, right, came throughout our marriage, right? Because, 24 years in the Army, right? So early in the career, those were the financial struggles. So by the
Mm-hmm.
time I actually became a single parent, the struggle wasn't financial. The struggle
Mm-hmm.
became mental and emotional at that
Right,
point,
right. That's
right? So
good.
it was a different type of struggle for me. Financially, I was there, been promoted multiple times, and
Right.
you kind of know where I was. So it became mental and emotional. And I think the hardest part was being hit with a pandemic and, trying to work and
Uh-huh.
homeschool. And when you're homeschooling a kid with autism, dyslexia, and, various other issues, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Wow.
Those became some mental and
I
emotional
bet. I
trying
bet.
times. So, I mean, I think for me, the hardest point was the day I found out my son had autism. I think I just went into a corner and started crying, right? We didn't
Wow.
know what to expect as a parent. Like, how would I deal with this? How would
Right.
I adjust? How would I move forward? But, you just gotta, I kind of just like looked at him, and kid was smiling. So I was like, hey, if he's smiling, I might as
That's
well be.
right. That's
So,
right.
that I think so for me, it wasn't financial, it was mental and emotional.
Right, right. Yeah, I could see that. I could totally see that. So, how did you deal with that though? How did you, you know, basically get up and shake the dust off? I see him smiling. I need to
You
pull
know,
it together, and we need to keep on moving forward.
so as my son was going through therapy, I was like, we as men, black men, and not to kind of deviate from the subject at all, right? We kind of tend to shy away from therapy because it kind of makes us seem weaker in a
You're
sense
right though.
compared to
You're
others,
100%
right?
right.
So, so with that being said, I took the route of choosing to do therapy on my own, right,
Oh,
myself.
that's
So
awesome.
that could help me understand how to deal with him and deal with the struggles I was dealing with. So, so I think to me, therapy was what helped me figure it out. And taking him to his therapy once a week
Hmm.
helped me understand his side of it as well. And through
Right,
conversations and dialogue with him each day, kind of begin to understand it, right? And
right,
so
right,
and then it was kind of getting beyond just saying, hey, my child has a disability versus looking at my child as a normal child like everyone else. And I
right,
think
right.
once I grasped that piece, right, I stopped saying, okay, he has a disability, and I just kind of went about it that way. So I think that's how I ended up dealing with the therapy and understanding him and meeting him where he was as a child.
Yeah. So how did you make yourself healthy? How did you find that stability for you? Make your.
Me, I mean, it was honestly, it was therapy, and I had to find out, I had to find out what makes me happy, right? Was going to
Right.
the gym and decompressing,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So to me, that was my outlet. So I use that to make myself healthy. As your child progresses
Right,
and
right,
gets better, it also helps you, right? Because now
right,
you're seeing the progress in them, so
right.
it gives you a sense of happiness or
Right,
peace that
right.
they're getting better. So that's essentially what helped me.
That's awesome. And that honestly is a testament to me, whether you know it or not, because I dealt with a traumatic time that my daughter had, way, way different. Okay, way, way, way different. And as she got into her adulthood, she would always tell me like, "Oh, mom, you're just so not emotionally, you're so emotionally detached." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, I'm here, bro. If I'm not here, I'm at work. Like, what do you want me to do? There's no in between." But what I have realized through therapy is that I wasn't looking at it, I wasn't considering her feelings. I wasn't considering how she saw it through her lens. Kind of like what he said, and so, I mean, I wish I would have had this epiphany some years ago because it would have taken away a lot of heartache. But needless to say, I'm on the road of recovery to being a little bit emotionally vulnerable to those that I love, because I am a black or white, is it, that's just how I think. And when it happened to her, it was like, okay, it happened. Now what? Now where do we go? What do we do? And she reminded me, like, as an adult, I have said it to her. Okay, it happened. Now let's move on. But she felt dismissed and that I didn't support her. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, we need to move on to the next good thing. We can't keep holding on to this bad thing, but I'm a work in progress, and therapy is definitely helping. And I did it. I had to apologize. We always say that parents do not apologize to their kids, but listen, I did it. And if you could just hear the sounding, like, I could sense her spirit lifting in the sound of her voice, just by me apologizing to her sincerely. Like, she knew the sincerity behind what I was saying. So we're working through this, and so, I my hats off to you, Tino, that you, you know, you actually took the time to say, okay, I know what society says, I know what the myths say, but this is what I need to do for me so that I can be a healthy me in order for me to be a better parent to my kids. So hats off to you, especially as a black man, because you hit the nail on the head when within our community, like, it is frowned upon to do therapy because they're thinking that you're gonna be weak or whatever. So yeah, that's that.
Kudos.
Yeah, that
Kudos.
was that is definitely amazing. And I hope that you continue to tell your story so you can be a example and a testament to the positivity that comes from you know, just being a better you and trying to be a better you, because that's what therapy is for you to be a healthy you, you know.
Mhm.
So, okay, so let's talk about this. How about this? How about this? Let me see. I got a little notes here. You know, I didn't want to be too deep in. You know what I'm saying? But how about this? Tino, you got any grandchildren?
Nah,
Oh,
nah, I don't. And
sad
I'm gonna just
face.
pray I don't have any for a long time.
Oh my God, looking at you. Let me tell you,
Hey,
it's gonna
look,
change,
Blessing. They're a
bro. It's
blessing.
gonna change your life, bro.
Yes,
It's
it
like my
will.
kids disappeared when
Yes.
my granddaughter
Yes.
was born. It was just like somebody said. I was like, y'all cooking for Thanksgiving? Cause I need a plate. And it's like, they're like, Kish, you not going home? I said, nah, my grandbaby's supposed to be with her father's people.
Oh.
So we don't really like each other when Journey ain't around. Like,
It's like we'll see you later.
yeah,
We'll
yeah.
see. We'll
Well,
see you
happy
good later.
Thanksgiving. I'm gonna holler at you. You know, Journey ain't there, so we don't really have no reason to get together. But
Lord,
yeah,
the team together.
grandchildren, yeah, are okay, so let me stay on focus. So I can tell you that another challenging thing with me and my kids, just in virtue of being in the military, and I know all three of us is serving or have served. Um, moving was a big deal for my babies.
Mhm.
Yeah, moving was a big deal. They did not like, as the older they got, they did not like to move. Like, yeah, they did not like to move. Yeah, so you know, we stayed in Fayetteville for a very long time, my last duty station, but before I retired, but we moved from county to county. And so that was they had to move schools and they were not happy about that. They was like,
Transition.
you told us we didn't have to move. So how did your kids handle that, Shane? You know?
Well, sometimes it wasn't easy. Moving the kids from, actually, we wound up moving from state to state. And so, we did spend some good times, we're 4 or 5 years in one place.
That's
But,
a good thing of being in the Air Force. You know that,
yes,
right,
we,
Tino?
we had longer stays than y'all do,
yeah,
sadly.
2 month and
Um,
30-day deployments and
Yeah, I'm
stuff.
Yeah,
saying.
Yeah.
y'all
Mhm.
definitely doing, out there longer than or shorter than we are. But my children actually was able to adapt. But as you said, once they got older, you start moving around. They enjoyed it in the beginning because they see new places, things to talk
Right,
about.
right. Yeah.
But it did become a issue because the kids is like, I'm losing my friends. I'm
Right,
starting
right.
all over again. I'm rebuilding all over again. And we had an incident one time where my daughter was in the cheerleading squad, and so moving her, we actually want to have to pull her out of the cheerleading squad. And I'm gonna tell you, that was a long year.
Right,
She
right.
had accomplished herself. She was the co-captain of the team, and so when you're moving kids around, mainly being in the
Mhm.
military, it's not always easy because you're actually moving towards Uncle Sam's
Right,
goal,
right, right.
and your rest of your family and everybody else is just following you in that goal, and it's not always good. And so the kids, my oldest one, she kind of was like, okay, Dad, we're gonna do what we gotta do. My middle one, though, she was kind of really involved. And my baby girl, she was like, hey, where we go?
Yeah, yeah.
But as the kids, like I said, they got older. It's like, look here, can we just be still?
I know, I know. Yeah, that's how Dominique and Dante was. How about your kids?
Um,
How do they, because their mother is in the army too, right?
my youngest,
Your
yeah.
youngest. So
Um,
how do the kids, how do they adapt? How did they adapt to that?
it was a challenge, hands down, right?
Mm.
It was a challenge because my son, for instance, he tried out for the football team, and the coach was
Mm.
like, "Hey, man, you're a natural." But then a year later, we had to pick up and move. So then
Oh,
he tried out for basketball, and then we had to get up and move again. So he just kind of gave in and said, like, he can't never get a stability right. So I
mhm.
think that kind of crushed his spirit.
Mhm.
But I think also having a conversation with him, he felt like it made him stronger, right? It made him more resilient.
That's
So
awesome. Yeah.
double-edged sword, right?
Mhm.
Essentially,
Right. Yeah.
and my middle son, he refused to make friends.
Oh,
Because he feels like he still talks to his friends from three duty stations previously,
Wow.
right? Because he feels like, hey, like it's just not worth it. We're gonna
wow.
move in 3 years, so he kind of avoided meeting friends until just recently. This was the first time in the last three duty stations where he decided, okay, I'll get cool with a few people because he felt
Wow.
like nothing was consistent. So I think
Right.
that
Right.
was the biggest challenge, right? Flip side of it, I think it makes them resilient.
Definitely.
Yes.
Military kids are definitely a different breed.
They see a different world.
Yes, they
They
do.
see it from a different perspective.
Yeah. And my daughter once told me that um, when they went to public school in high school, she was like, it was scary, Mom. She was like, it was just a different, they felt safer around other military kids. Like they could, it wasn't the hoopla or, worried about what nobody else, got on, or it was just more
A different experience.
yeah, just a different experience.
Commonality.
Yeah. And definitely they prefer to be in school on a military installation with other military kids.
Yeah, that commonality is definitely a plus, because, just like ourselves, when you're dealing with military, no matter what branch you're in, we have some commonality about that. And so you got the kids that coming from a different mindset is not about, the hoopla, what you dress and how you dressing. It's the connection of, look here, my mom and dad is in the military.
Right. And that's what she said. Yeah.
So
yeah. Okay, so listen, we got a few minutes. I have one question now. Dating. How did you date? How did you decide that that you wanted to, like, how did that work for you? I know how it worked for me. Like, but how, like, when they were little, like, let's talk about stage 1, stage 2. Stage 3, they like doing their own thing. They like 20 or whatever. But stage 1 is like from like 1 to 13, and then 13 on up, stage 2. So how did you manage a social life?
I'll let you take that, Tina, first.
Pass the baton.
Social life, right? To me, you know me for a while. I'm more so kind of like chill to myself, right? But I've always felt like, I think when I was dating, I wasn't dating looking for a mother for my kids, right? But in the same sense, I was dating with the intent that we never know what tomorrow may bring. So whoever I date, I have to make sure that they are motherly, right? So that played an aspect in whoever I chose to date. And on top of that, now it was a big problem because I felt like I'm not bringing anybody around my kids.
That part.
Unless I know that we are going the distance. And the distance doesn't mean we jumping in bed and we rumbling around for a couple months and then we breaking ways, right? The distance mean, hey, our intent, we have an intent of going much longer, something more serious. So that put it put a wrench in the plans, right? But
some stress.
it put a wrench in the plans. But you find ways, right? Because
of course, we are very
adults,
resourceful. Parents are very resourceful.
Exactly, right. We have to figure out. We have to figure out how to date. And then when they were young, I really didn't. I really didn't at all.
Right.
Once my oldest got to the age to where he could watch them. Then I felt better going out. Then I can leave them at home with my oldest because I was never really a big fan of babysitters, right?
Gotcha.
So once he got to that point, then I would go out and date, but never bring them around my kids or my kids around them or anything like that. So it was a challenge. So I had to keep that balance, right? And that was a key word, balance. And it was hard, right? Because you would meet women, right, that says, they have they'll tell you, hey, I would never date a man with a child under 10 years old. I respect it, but then you got a kid that's 5 years old that's always gone with your mama somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
They holding standards up that they ain't handed themselves.
I know, right? So, but your mama is your baby daddy.
Exactly, right. So it made it challenging, but I made it work. And I think through doing that, I think I've met amazing people over the years who some are still lifelong friends, right? Because they didn't judge me based on my circumstance, but judge me based on who I am.
Right. That's awesome. All right, Shane, because I know you got some stories.
Well, looky here.
I know Shane got some stories, some dating stories.
Dating, as he said, my brother said it was in the beginning. When we separated, my daughter was 8. My other one was 10. Actually, one was 8, one was 12, and the other one was 14. And so, going into that, it was a whole different background because the 8-year-old, she was like whatever, but the other two, you got to be mindful who you bring around them because they like,
yeah, they paying attention.
They paying attention, you know what I'm saying? They're looking at how they dress, how they speak, how the conversations, and of course, when they get to that age, they're also comparing them towards their parents. And so, you have that consideration that, they already know you ain't my mother. Right. And so that's already a thought. But then it also comes into an idea of how they're carrying themselves, how they're speaking, what direction they're coming at them with. And so sometimes, as my brother said, you have to be a thin line between that balance because you have to figure out how much of that beginning stage of your relationship is enough to say it's worthy of bringing them into
the long run.
Yeah. And because eventually, if it is not true, it will start breaking down.
Right.
And kids will break you down in a minute,
bro.
And so, I had a situation one time before where I was dating a young lady, and it got to where she just wasn't. It was weird. Is that most people say how they want to, somebody to have teenage kids and all that, but they couldn't handle the teenage kids because their mentality was still for themselves are pretty much working with kids between the ages of 6 to 10. When you're dealing with teenage kids, they're already in high school. They come in with different programs. They got different mindsets. And so it put us in a position to where you're trying to give information or give advice based on what my 8-year-old we're doing. And we're talking about, 15, 16-year-olds doing something.
No, you got that wrong.
And so, and it got to where, I was trying to explain to this person how they didn't understand in the position that we was in. And it just eventually got to where it's like, this ain't gonna work. Exactly. Gotcha. And so, and from that on, I tried to be very patient and mindful of what I have at home before I started bringing, looking at where I'm going to go. And like the brother said, I remember in the beginning when I first separated, it took me 15 months just to even go out. Because I didn't want to bring nobody around. And
I could
didn't want to bring no around. And my daughters was like, Dad, we are okay. Can you please leave?
Let me guess, that was the Shayna.
You know what I'm saying? They was kicking me out. I was like, hey, look here, grandma got us. Can you go? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, but it definitely was a blessing in time, and as they continue to grow and, as my man said, his oldest one was able to babysit his youngest one. So it gave that freedom to kind of move around a little bit more without variation.
Yeah. See, I went to the extreme with it. Nah, I ain't dating nobody. Nah. Now, I'll just be honest. Now, I might have had a plumber here and there. You know what I'm saying? But I wasn't bringing nobody at my house. I wasn't. My thing was because this is what I saw growing up. It wasn't finna be no Mr. or uncle. No, ma'am. No cheese, no ham, baby. No. And then, I was afraid of something happening to one of them because, by now I'm like paranoid. So I was like, well, guess I won't be doing this. I think Dominique and Dante, when they actually met someone like, the guy came to my house and, picked me up and stuff like that. I mean, he and I had been seeing each other for a minute.
And they were shocked.
And Dominique and Dante were like 14 and 15, maybe. And so now, like one finna go to high school and the other one, he just doing his thing. He smelling himself and all kind of thing. And, so by the time I was like, you gonna let me come to your house and pick you up? I'm like, no, we just gonna keep meeting each other. Like, why you gotta come to my house for? But, Dominique and Dante were older. They were in their teens. And I felt like, okay, now they're at a point where they can understand, So I remember, it's so crazy. I totally have to tell this story. So the first guy I dated, right? His name was Patrick. And he drove a white Suburban. Was it a Suburban? Tahoe. It was a Tahoe. And they used to call him Mr. Big White Truck.
Wow.
Okay, so they used to call him Mr. Big. We was in Bragg. And so I invited him over after like 3 or 4 months. I invited him over to have dinner with us to talk to the kids, right?
Break the ice.
Yeah, break I don't want the kids to keep calling him Mr. Big White Truck. Like he got a whole name. You know what I'm saying? So he came over, and one thing I tried to do with my kids was whenever I had the opportunity, we would always eat dinner at the table. And so I made some spaghetti. We were all sitting at the table, and I had forgot to give him the disclaimer that my kids are free to tell me whatever they want to.
Wow.
Right. So
he wasn't ready.
Oh, Jesus. I wasn't ready. So we're like eating. Everybody's, we're talking about our days. Dante talks about his days. So we get to Dominique and we like, how was your day, Dominique? Dominique's like, she studied going back on these spaghettis, right? And then she stops and she goes, and some little girl, she was like, oh, so-and-so got caught sucking so-and-so's dick under the stairs. And I was like, if a hole could have opened up, I would have fell right through it. So he like over there, like he choking, like I was like, oh, okay. Like I'm trying to change the subject and she just going in. And when they got caught and then blah, 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 she just go, because that's how freely Dominique and Dante were always, just tell whatever it is. I preferred them to tell me than to get it in the street. So, but that one time I would have preferred her to take that to the street. And I was just like, I'm all apologetic. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And he was like, nah, it was cool. Just as, see how you and your kids. And we actually dated for a while. Yeah, we dated for a while. And but I just didn't. When Dominique and Dante, I had my little secret rendezvous, but it was usually during lunch, or during lunch. Like Dominique and Dante would be like, Uncle so and so, and you ain't got no uncles because I ain't got no brother, so right. You ain't got no uncles, So I just didn't want to expose them to that, and so like they just, they didn't, and so it. But then, like Tino said, it's a double-edged sword because now it's like I'll be picking with them and I'll be like, they'll be like, Mom, where you going? I'm like, I'm going on a date. And they'll be like, oh. I said, girl, I'm still trying to find you a daddy. They'll be like, Mom, we're too old for a daddy. We don't need no daddy no more. Right. I'm like, baby, listen, it ain't what you need, it's what I need. I'm just trying to find you a daddy. But we laugh about it. But Dominique more so Dante is very protective of me and like, Mama, I don't think he the one. Well, how you don't think? You ain't got to be with him. I do.
That's when the kids start taking care of
you. That is how she is. And sometimes I think, well, maybe if I, and it also affected their way of dating and how they love and how they allow someone else how they allow themselves to show emotion in that manner to other people, because unfortunately they were in their teens when they saw me doing it. Before then, it was like the only person you need to love is me and Jesus. So I can say that was the downside of it, because Dominique and Dante didn't really have like a, we would talk about it, but they didn't see it. They didn't see healthy relationships. They didn't see healthy relationships. They didn't see married couples, because just to be honest, a lot of women in my family aren't married, so, they just didn't have that example. So, like my son sometimes he can be a very super emotional being, and he wants to be married. He wants the whole little white picket fence, hub baking pies. Like that's what he want, and he's like, what's wrong with these women out here? And he has an old soul, so he leans more toward, and this could be a theory behind, they say men look for women like their mothers. Because Dante tends to look for a type of woman that is very independent, for lack of a better words, well, I'll say a go-getter, and she knows how to take care of her man. And you don't find young ladies with that mentality at their age. So he went through this whole spell one time, like, these some raggedy hoes out here.
Young man, it's hard out here in these streets,
Yeah,
young
that's
man.
what he
It's
said.
hard.
That's what he said. Hard out here in these streets, mama.
Mhm.
I said, baby, it's gonna come. It's gonna come.
Mhm.
I said, go get your old woman.
Mm.
Go get you a cougar. Go get you a cougar. He said,
get the experience.
Yeah,
you know
I
what
said,
I'm
go
saying?
get
You
you
know
a
what I'm
cougar.
saying?
He said, well, it's this E5 around here. I mean, I said, go get a boo. Go get her. But yeah, that was the stance that I took, and I can see it as a positive and a negative. But
Mhm.
yeah,
they do miss out on that. Sadly, you're protecting of them, you're also shielding them from things they need to see to be able to prepare for when they get older. Because now they don't know what that looked like, and it's like, well,
how
I
to
didn't learn
respond to it and
how
all
to
of
respond.
that. Yeah,
Something my daughter brings, and I don't know if you been through this yet or not. One of the things my youngest daughter, brings back to me is the idea that, also being trapped in that, they never got a chance to see how men and women should be friends. Because you think about it, you had friends, but you didn't bring them around, so they didn't get a chance to know what that friendship should look like to be able to build it themselves. And so, and now having my baby boy, my youngest one, is 12 years apart between my daughter and my son, and my daughter actually helps educate my son a lot in things that he did not get from me and his mother.
Right, I got
and
you.
So that's one of the big things that it was, and I had a girlfriend of mine, she said the same thing, that her two daughters was like, Mom, while you taught us to be women, you never taught us to be a mom. You never taught us to be a wife. So we didn't know what that's supposed to look like, and for yourself, team, you got boys. And so the idea about it is, as raising them as a man, that pick up, how did you cover that as well, to where now that when they start looking for a woman, what are they looking for?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I would say, someone may ask you, right, what has been your failure as a parent, right? And I would say that probably fall within that rim, right? Because you never, in the process of protecting them, you've kept them away from really understanding, seeing, and knowing, right? And so I think that would be one of those things, right? And then, there was a message that a pastor preached, and I heard it a little bit too late, right? I heard it a little bit too late in life, where he said,
"Where was you 10 years ago?"
Yeah, right. He said, everyone avoids bringing their kids around relationships they're in because they're afraid the relationship might end, and that child may think that their parents are just dating, but we're not showing that child that not all relationships last, right? So in the process, we tend to in the process, we tend to not give them that opportunity, right? So for me, I just talk, right? I just use conversation. Unfortunately, I'm unable to show you, right? So the best I can do is tell you, right? That's the best I can do, because I sheltered you, so I failed you in that sense, right? So now I just tell them, conversation through conversation, dialogue. Be like, this is what you do. Hey, man, as a man, this is what you do. And you go out on a date, so on and so forth, right? So that's the best way I can go about it.
Yeah,
At this point,
until
right?
you have a daughter like me.
Unfortunate.
Ma, you don't know, because you didn't date nobody. So how you? I'll be like, dang, you had to throw me to the left like that. But the crazy thing is, sometimes I get advice from her. She be like, no, mama, don't do that. Don't say that. Don't wear that. Don't, no, mama, this is gonna make you. I'll be like, okay, I got it. But I think I got it all under control now. I just don't date.
Well, the key to it is that, as my brother said, is that the honesty. He was honest and said off the bat, he said, Dad didn't show you, but Dad can kind of tell you. You know what I'm saying? And with that in mind, having great conversations with your kids, that's one of the hardest things about being a single parent, is that eventually they're going to get to their own mindset. They're going to get to their own divisions of what they think is right or wrong and how they see it, and even though we might have raised them this way, you always you hear that statement. You hear that statement, it's like, man, I didn't raise them like that.
I didn't do that. I didn't teach you that.
I didn't teach you that. You know what I'm saying? And they just moving, they start marching forward. Like it's the best thing since sliced bread. You like,
you.
Yeah, it's like, where did you get that from?
But it was in the infamil. I'm sticking to my story. It was in the milk.
And so that part of it. Kudos to you, my brother. Like you said, conversations, and sometimes those conversations are the hardest conversations, because you're actually backpedaling. You're trying to catch up.
Yeah.
And so It's been having that boy at the end, but having girls, it's definitely been a different mindset because, most of the time when you have females, you don't want to bring a guy around for females.
Right.
Because if you're a woman, you don't want it because you're afraid of that.
Right.
When you're a man, you don't want to kind of bring a female around in certain cases because you don't want them to taint what might be going on with their mom. But the problem coming in is that, again, all of that is sheltering and all that sheltering, there's also conversations that get lost in between them.
Right.
And when you can go back and kind of pick those pieces up and then keep them in, retrospective where you're trying to get your children to, because the reality of it is that we all just want our children to be successful out here.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
that means financially, as he talked about spiritually, the idea, kudos to you, my brother, about the therapy, because a lot of times we don't teach our children
to be vulnerable,
and what's really out there to help them.
Right. Besides us,
you know what I'm saying? You get out there and the kids, now your children would know, T, when they get older and they struggling, I might need to talk to somebody.
Yeah,
my mom
like I saw my dad do this. I saw my mom do this. They was very transparent about it, so it has to be a good thing if my mom and dad do it. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
So, I think a lot of this is a double-edged sword, right? And what I mean by that being a double-edged sword is, I believe what the pastor said, right? But at the same time, if I'm raising a daughter, do I want to teach my daughter that having a man in and out of my house is the way to go as a woman?
Right.
As a father raising a son or even raising a daughter, do I want to teach them that, hey, it's okay to jump from bed to bed?
Yeah, no,
right?
No.
Is it so? So it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? It's a thin line that you're trying to balance, right? But I think at the end of the day, we all have to find a balance. And my brother alluded to it earlier, right? Balance is the key in this thing, whether we're single parenting, whether it's in our military career, personal lives, whatever, right? Balance is the key to being successful, right? And having some honest dialogue, regardless of how hard those dialogues may be. Having those dialogues are also essential. Yeah. It took me a long time to be able to have that dialogue because a lot of times growing up as a kid, you never had that, right?
Right.
So then you don't know how to do that yourself as a parent, right? So it took me a while to have that dialogue. I think my oldest was almost 18 before we actually started having those dialogues.
Wow.
And once it started with him, it made it easier for the ones to follow.
Right.
But unfortunately, it's kind of one of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's hard to practice what you preach when you ain't preaching.
Ain't that the truth?
You look at it like,
ain't that the truth?
All of this, all you give them is like, no.
Not know why.
Not why. You just no. It stops right there. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So this has been amazing, which I knew it was. But you guys have totally dropped some seeds for a sister because, I'm trying to get it right still. Mine's might be 20. She about to be 27 in a few weeks, But still, I'm still, not that I just want to be a better parent. I want to be a better person, So this has been great. And then to see it from a male's perspective, I think the guys need to, kudos to y'all. Kudos to y'all. I think the guys need their love too. They need their flowers too. Just like with the whole Mother's Day, Father's Day thing, Mother's Day is for mothers. Father's Day is for fathers. No, ain't no in between mothers doing the fathers. Now that ain't our fault who you chose to be your children's father or baby daddy, whichever one you want to call him, So
I just want to throw in there too. Look here. Can we stop cookouting on Daddy's Father's Day? You know what I'm saying?
Daddy, get on the grill. We're going to buy him an apron or something.
Can we go to dinner and, get some flowers for Father's Day too? Because, what I'm saying? Father's Day always turn out to be a cookout. You working on your day. What's going on?
And you get some socks.
That's right.
Well, I thank you, gentlemen, for sharing your stories with me and my viewers, my listeners. I absolutely know that there has been some nuggets dropped here tonight. And I, again, just hats off to you both. I know you both personally, two great, amazing men two great, amazing men, successful at their careers and successful as being a parent. So,
Yes.
definitely
rough,
who you telling?
Yes.
Definitely hats off to you and thank you. Especially to Tino, because Tino is very reserved. Like I said, he's like a smooth, neat glass of scotch. Okay, baby. Like you,
I
I
know
might
that's
just
right.
kind of swish it around a little bit. Okay, get the
That's pretty
aroma because
challenging.
you're not gonna get too excited.
Well, it's been a
But
pleasure, my brother.
yes, he is an
Hey, it was a
amazing
pleasure, my
person.
brother.
Yeah, he is an amazing person. And yeah, so my people who are called to this land. So that brings this episode, Blood In, Blood Out. Who rep you say? So I hope that you guys took from this that there are good single parent women and men.
Amen.
We're both out here doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, we
So thank you guys for joining. First, I want to give honor to God for the opportunity to do what I love. And I love talking. So I'm thankful for 5 North. They came in clutch because I did not know where the next podcast studio was going to be. And God gave me an amazing environment, and I'm so ready to bring all my friends in, all my guests in, to come here. I'm telling you, this place is amazing. There's a freaking wine cooler over there. Okay. You hear me?
Nice.
You hear me? The vibe is banging. Okay. Hats off to my podcast manager, Evan. He is making it happen. He is what you need, what you want. I'm like, all right, Evan. I'm okay. Let's get it. And he's given me the opportunity to open up my podcast and do so many different things that I've been wanting to do. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for my guests, my first guest in my new home, Shane and Tino. Thank you again for
having us,
opening up and allowing yourself to be transparent for the people, because I tell people all the time, my podcast is for the people. The things that we do on this podcast is all for the people that's listening. So hopefully we say something that's going to touch someone out there in whatever it is that they're dealing with. And on that note, let me tell you, so this will be the last episode for the month of November. Everybody got to take a little break. I'm trying to move, so I got a little packing to do, even though I'm probably going to be eating ramen noodles for Thanksgiving. But while y'all out there eating y'all dressing and y'all red velvet cake and y'all all of that, y'all just say a little prayer for Kecia, who's going to be eating the damn ramen noodles, okay? But we will be back December 1st, and that episode is gonna be bomb. We're gonna have an amazing guest chime in, and we're gonna talk about intimate relationships in a synergetic manner. That shit blew my mind. Good. That shit blew my mind when he explained synergy into emotional relationship. That shit blew my mind. So I am ready to present this to you. I'm so excited. Jay is gonna be here. He's not gonna be here physically. I wish he could, but he will not be here physically. But he will chime in. He's gonna virtual in, and that's what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about synergy, baby. Synergy.
Nice.
And on that note, my good people, God bless and good night. And as always, smooches. Do-do-do-do-do and cut.